Garrett Morrison sat at the Riverside Cafe table checking his watch for the fourth time. 35 years old, with dark hair and a crisp white shirt, founder and CEO of Morrison Techworth. $50 million and counting on a blind date. His business partner had insisted he attend. "You need to get out there," Marcus had said. "Meet someone real, not another socialite who wants your money." So here Garrett sat waiting for someone named Paige, wildlife veterinarian, according to Marcus, whatever that means. Her woman appeared on the walkway, late 20s, with auburn hair pulled back, a ponytail, wore a beige cardigan over a tan dress. But that was not what caught Garrett's attention. Her clothes were covered in mud, her shoes muddy and worn. She carried them in one hand, walking barefoot. As she got closer, Garrett could see dirt on her face. Draped across her cheek, her dress had what looked like grass-stained sand, possibly blood. Garrett's first instinct was to leave it. This was clearly a mistake. But then the woman saw him but started walking faster. "Garrett," she called, "I am so sorry, I am late." She reached the table breathless. "You must be Paige." "Yes," she said, setting down her muddy shoes. "I know I look terrible. I had an emergency at the sanctuary. Deer got caught in a fence. I had to help extract her." She gestured to her muddy state. "Hence this disaster." Garrett studied her up close. He could see the blood was not hers, and despite the dirt, she had striking green eyes full of life and intelligence. "You helped a deer?" "Yes," Paige said. She was panicking, could have hurt herself worse. "I got there just in time." She smiled. "She is fine now, a little scraped up, but she will recover." Garrett found himself smiling back. "Do you always show up to first dates covered in mud?" "Only the important ones," Paige replied, her eyes twinkling. "Shows I have priorities, and apparently deer rank higher than Millionaire CEOs." Garrett laughed, a real laugh. "I like that." "Should I go change?" Paige asked. "I can run home. It is only 10 minutes. "No," Garrett said, surprising himself. "Said tell me about the deer." So Paige did. For the next hour she talked about the wildlife sanctuary where she worked, about the animals she cared for, injured and orphaned creatures she helped. At her passion was evident, their knowledge impressive. Garrett found himself completely absorbed. "Most people think I am crazy," Paige said, "working with wild animals, making almost nothing, living in a tiny apartment, but I cannot imagine doing anything else." "Why would that be crazy?" Garrett asked. "Because I could have made more money in private practice," Paige explained. "Treating pets, my student loans are massive. I will be paying them off forever. But I chose this because it matters." Garrett was quiet. "What?" Paige asked. "Most people I know choose money over meaning. You chose the opposite. Does that make me stupid?" "No," Garrett said, "it makes you remarkable." They talked until the cafe closet, then walked along the river. Paige still barefoot, carrying her muddy shoes. "I should confess something," Garrett said. "Okay. When I first saw you," he admitted, "covered in mud, I almost left." Paige laughed. "I would have, but then I saw your eyes." Garrett continued. "The way you smiled when you talked about the deer, the way you did not apologize for who you are." He stopped walking. "You are the most authentic person I have met in years." Paige looked at him. "You know, most guys would have run. I am not. Most guys know." Paige agreed. "You are not." Over the following months, they were inseparable. Garrett visited the sanctuary, helped feed animals, got muddy himself. Paige came to his world, met his colleagues, wore beautiful dresses to fancy events, but she was always herself, never pretending, never apologizing. 6 months after that first date, Garrett took Paige to the sanctuary. "I have something to show you," he said, led her to a new building under construction. "What is this?" Paige asked. "A veterinary clinic," Garrett explained. "State of the art for the sanctuary I am funding." Paige's eyes filled with tears. "Garrett, this must cost." "It does not matter what it costs," he interrupted. "What matters is you will be able to help more animals, do better work, save more lives." He took her hands. "I have spent my whole life building a company, making money, but watching you these past months, seeing your passion, your purpose, I realized something. What money is just a tool," Garrett said. "What matters is what you build with it. You build lives, you save creatures. Most people ignore you, make the world better." His voice was thick. "I want to help you do that, not because I'm trying to impress you, but because what you do matters, and I love you." Paige was crying. "I love you too." They married a year later. Small ceremony at the sanctuary run by friends and rescued animals. At the reception, Garrett gave a toast. "When my business partner set me up on a blind date, He said, "I expected someone polished put together." Impressive. He looked at Paige. Instead I got someone covered in mud, barefoot, with blood on her dress from rescuing a deer. Everyone laughed. I almost walked away, Garrett continued, because she was not what I expected. But then I saw her eyes, heard her passion, understood her purpose. His voice broke and I realized I had been looking for the wrong thing. Success is not about appearances, it is about meaning. My wife teaches me that every day when she chooses animals over comfort, purpose over profit, authenticity over approval. He raised his glass to Paige, who showed up covered in mud, and showed me what really matters. Paige stood when I arrived at our first date, filthy and late. She said, "I expected Garrett to leave. Most people would have, but he stayed." She looked at her husband. He asked about the deer, listened to my passion, saw past the dirt to who I am. That is rare. Most people see the surface, the messy imperfections, but Garrett saw me. Her voice was soft, and then he did something even more remarkable. He joined me not by trying to change me, but by supporting what I love, by building this clinic, by getting money himself, by choosing meaning over money. Years later, people would ask how they met. Garrett would smile and say, "She showed up covered in mud. I was about to leave. Then she told me about a deer. Best decision I ever made was to stay. Sometimes the best things come in messy packages. At times, the person covered in dirt is exactly who you need." Dan, sometimes love is not about finding someone perfect, but about finding someone real and choosing to see past the mud to the heart. If this story resonated with you, please like and share it with someone who values authenticity over appearance. Subscribe for more stories about seeing beyond the surface. Comment and tell us about a time when you or someone you know chose purpose over presentation. Your story might encourage someone to be unapologetically themselves today.